The ground is shifting beneath the global financial order in a way that has not been witnessed in decades, and the epicenter of this quake is not New York, London, or Tokyo, but Baghdad. The Central Bank of Iraq has just issued a directive so profound, so strategically audacious, that it effectively sounds the starting pistol for the final phase of the Iraqi dinar's journey towards revaluation. For years, the dream of a dinar revaluation has been kept alive by hope and fragmented news, but what we are witnessing now is a methodical, undeniable, and rapid execution of a master plan designed to catapult the Iraqi currency onto the world stage as a powerhouse in its own right. The announcement, which has been curiously underreported by mainstream Western financial media, details the complete and utter dismantling of the US dollar's dominance within Iraq's internal economy. This is not a minor policy adjustment, it is a financial declaration of independence. The mandate is clear and uncompromising. All local transactions, from multi-million-dollar infrastructure projects and corporate payrolls down to the simple purchase of a loaf of bread in a local market, must now be conducted exclusively in the Iraqi dinar. The implications of this are staggering and cannot be overstated. For decades, the Iraqi economy has been tethered to the dollar, a relic of past conflicts and economic sanctions that created a dual economy where the dinar was perceived as weak and unstable for daily use by its own people and businesses. This dependency artificially suppressed the dinar's value, creating a permanent ceiling that prevented it from reflecting the true, colossal worth of the nation it represents. By severing this tether, the Central Bank of Iraq is engineering a seismic shock of demand for the dinar. Think of the entire economic machinery of a nation with one of the world's largest proven oil reserves, a burgeoning agricultural sector, and a rapidly modernizing infrastructure, suddenly switching its fuel from a foreign currency to its own. This creates an unprecedented, inward-facing torrent of demand that will, by the immutable laws of economics, force the currency's value to rise. It is a deliberate, calculated move to create intrinsic value from within, making the dinar strong not because of speculative whispers, but because of its fundamental and non-negotiable utility within its own borders. The logistical rollout of this policy is already underway with a military-like precision that has stunned observers. Iraqi banks are being systematically audited and recalibrated, their systems overhauled to ensure full compliance, while businesses are being given a strict but achievable timeline to transition their entire accounting, pricing, and payroll systems to the dinar. This is not a suggestion, it is an enforceable decree with significant consequences for non-compliance, proving the government's absolute commitment. The chatter from on-the-ground sources in Baghdad and Erbil confirms that the change is palpable. The psychological shift among the Iraqi populace is moving from skepticism to a growing sense of national pride and economic optimism. They are beginning to see their own currency not as a symbol of weakness, but as the key to their future sovereignty. This internal policy is perfectly synchronized with Iraq's bold new foreign policy stance, where the nation is aggressively signing independent oil and gas contracts with global powers like China, France, and Russia, deals that are increasingly being negotiated in currencies other than the US dollar, including the euro, yuan, and potentially, in the very near future, the Iraqi dinar itself. This external de-dollarization effort mirrors the internal one, creating a pincer movement that isolates the dollar's influence and amplifies the dinar's international profile. The country is systematically dismantling every single argument that naysayers have used for years to dismiss the possibility of a revaluation. The narrative of political instability is being replaced by one of growing parliamentary cohesion, especially around economic issues. The narrative of a dollar-dependent economy is being erased by the CBI's own policies. The narrative of a weak infrastructure is being overturned by visible, tangible progress in reconstruction and technological adoption. All of these threads are now being woven together into a single, unbreakable rope, a rope strong enough to pull the dinar's value to its rightful, higher plane. The countdown is no longer a metaphor, it is a reflection of a concrete, step-by-step process that is nearing its final, logical, and inevitable conclusion. The waiting is not over, but the endgame has unquestionably begun, and the Central Bank of Iraq has just made the most decisive move yet. Now, let's pull back the curtain on the real mechanism that makes this revaluation not just a possibility, but a mathematical certainty following the CBI's earth-shattering move, because what happens next is a masterclass in economic engineering that will be studied for generations. The immediate and most critical effect of forcing the entire domestic economy onto the dinar is the creation of an artificial, yet very real, economic vacuum, a vacuum that can only be filled by the currency itself, leading to a dramatic and unavoidable contraction in its available supply. This concept, known as the monetary velocity shock, is the secret engine of the revaluation, and it works with terrifying simplicity. Imagine every single business, from the massive state-owned oil enterprises to the smallest corner shop, now needing to hold significant dinar reserves in their accounts to manage daily operations, payroll, and taxes, all while the physical cash that was once hoarded under mattresses or held in dollar assets is now being drawn into the banking system to be used for these new, dinar-only transactions. This mass migration of the currency from shadow circulation into the formal, regulated banking sector does two things simultaneously. It gives the Central Bank of Iraq an unprecedented level of clarity and control over the money supply, and it strangles the available liquidity in the open market. When the supply of any asset plummets while the demand for it skyrockets, and the demand here is now legally mandated for every citizen and company within a nation of over 40 million people, the price of that asset has no choice but to explode upwards. This is basic supply and demand, but on a national, sovereign scale. The central bank is strategically orchestrating this supply crunch, and they are prepared to manage it not as a crisis, but as a planned outcome. They possess the tools, primarily through their vast holdings of gold and foreign currency reserves, to strategically intervene and support the dinar's new value once it begins its ascent, ensuring the transition is orderly and stable, preventing the kind of hyperinflation that fearmongers often predict. This is where the real, tangible wealth of Iraq, its oil, transforms from a theoretical backstop into a practical, financial instrument of immense power. Every barrel of oil that is extracted and sold represents future dinar strength, as those petrodollars are increasingly repatriated and converted into the national currency, further fueling the cycle of strength and stability. Furthermore, this internal economic fortification is perfectly timed with the near-complete eradication of the electronic, internationally traded forex instrument known as the Iraqi Dinar, which was previously available on certain platforms. The removal of this digital, speculative version of the currency was a deliberate and brilliant tactical move. It effectively fenced off the dinar from the predatory volatility of international hedge funds and algorithmic traders who could have manipulated its price or shorted it into oblivion during this critical, vulnerable transition phase. By making the physical currency the primary and most direct vehicle for investment, the CBI has ensured that the coming value appreciation will be driven by fundamental, tangible demand and strategic international investment, not by the whims of a speculative digital market. This creates a far more stable and sustainable foundation for the new exchange rate. The path is now clear. The internal demand shock creates a supply vacuum, the supply vacuum triggers a sharp appreciation in value, and the sovereign wealth and resources of the nation are deployed to lock in that new, higher value, establishing a fresh and powerful equilibrium. The old rate, a relic of a war-torn and dollar-dependent past, is being systematically erased from existence, line by line, in the ledgers of the new Iraq. We are witnessing the controlled demolition of a weak currency system, and from its rubble, a strong, sovereign, and valuable dinar is being constructed in real time. The evidence is no longer circumstantial, it is causal. The CBI has pulled the lever, and the economic dominoes are now falling with a precision and speed that confirms this is the final act of a long-planned strategy. The world of finance is about to be introduced to a new reality, one where the Iraqi dinar is not a subject of pity or speculation, but a symbol of a resurgent nation and one of the most remarkable monetary turnarounds in modern history. The data does not lie, the sequence of events is undeniable. We have moved from the realm of why to the definitive mechanics of how, and the how is already in motion. So, the question that now burns in the mind of every single person hearing this is no longer if the revaluation will happen, or even how it will happen, but what does this mean for you, for the global financial landscape, and for the future of Iraq itself, because the ripples of this event will be felt far beyond the borders of the Middle East, creating a new paradigm for what is possible in the world of sovereign currency and national economic rebirth. For you, the individual investor who has held onto the dinar through years of uncertainty and noise, this moment represents the culmination of a journey of immense patience and foresight. You are positioned at the epicenter of a wealth transfer event that is so rare, most people go their entire lives without ever witnessing one, let alone being a direct participant in it. The transition from the current exchange rate to its new, dramatically higher value will be the single most defining financial event in the lives of countless people, a moment where faith and strategy converge with historical economic reality. Imagine the process unfolding not as a chaotic explosion, but as a controlled and officially managed reset, where the Central Bank of Iraq, in coordination with the International Monetary Fund and major global financial institutions, announces a new fixed exchange rate for the dinar, a rate that truly reflects the fundamental strength of the Iraqi economy, its colossal resource wealth, and its strategic importance on the world stage. This new rate will be activated and become tradable through a designated and structured process, likely involving an initial period where the currency is traded at its new value within Iraq and through specific international banking channels, creating a tidal wave of liquidity and newfound purchasing power that will flow directly to the holders of the physical currency. This is not a speculative fantasy. This is the logical and necessary conclusion of every single action the CBI has taken, a direct cause and effect chain that leads inexorably to this point. The economic resurgence of Iraq will be turbocharged overnight, as the nation's balance sheet is transformed, debt becomes trivial to manage.